Hi everyone, I'm Riva, and in this video, we're going to talk about what to do if you get ignored or brushed off when networking. So first of all, networking is hard for a lot of people. I get it. And it really sucks if you get ignored in any context. It kind of brings you back to, as you might imagine, high school, junior high, or middle school, when there might be these little cliques or groups of people. And whether it was you or you happen to observe someone getting iced out or excluded from the event or the talk or the topic or whatever circle of things that people are doing, it really sucks. And especially as an adult, it can really be a hit to your ego if you walk up to a group of adults and either they ignore you or they don't talk to you or acknowledge you, or even worse, they all walk away and then you're left there going, what? Like, do I smell? Is there like something on me? Is it that bad? Like, what? You don't even know me. You don't want to talk to me. What is this? So I want to touch on this topic because I want to help people overcome the crappy sides or the not so fun parts of networking so that you can not let that stop you from the really incredible things, because there's so many wonderful benefits that can come from networking. You don't know sometimes when you go to these events who you might meet, what friends you might make, maybe collaborations that spark up or a company that gets started, all because you put yourself out there. You found people with common interests and you realize, oh, I can help with this, you can help with that. Together we can have a company. Or, sometimes you just get to meet really cool people and you get to expand your network of who you could reach out to in the future. Or maybe you can help someone. You could be of service to a group or organization or an individual. So whatever the reasons are, or whatever the really cool outcomes are, we first have to get over the hurdle of, what if people don't like me? What if people don't want to talk to me? What if I don't know what to say? I'll do lots and lots of videos on networking and how to go about it and how to get more comfortable with it and how to do something I like to call heart-centered networking, which is much more comfortable for me and more playful and just so much better, my personal opinion. But let's just focus on this one incident. You go to a networking event, you finally get yourself either to build up the nerve, or maybe you finally go, oh God, I've listened to so many things that Riva has said. Fine, I'll just go network. And I just wear you down enough that you decide to go networking. And then you get to the place, you listen to an event, or maybe it goes straight into networking. And you are going out of your way to put yourself out there, to put yourself in conversations, to walk up to a group of people you don't know and start to introduce yourself. And immediately, or maybe not immediately, this happened to me actually just the other day. I'll share a story with you, but immediately or shortly after, everyone disbands as though you've interrupted their conversation, or you're just not pleasant to be around, or all the thoughts. These are all negative thoughts. These are self-doubts. These are negative self-talk, negative beliefs about the self that are coming up. A lot of it is really the ego. The ego has, and we don't have to hate the ego. People talk about killing it and doing all this. I'm just like, we don't have to hate our egos. Our egos also help us. They can also hurt us, but we got to find a nice, happy playing ground with the ego. So respect that it's a hit to the ego if you walk up to other people. We're social creatures. We're human beings. We're social creatures. It's going to suck if you walk up to any other social beings who don't want to talk to you, or at least the way we might interpret it is they're not interested in talking to me. But, sometimes they're doing you a favor. To be honest, a lot of people, at least the people I know, probably you watching, rarely would you ever just walk away from someone who comes up to talk to you. Like, you wouldn't be in conversation with someone and then have a new person who's at a networking event come up to you and then you just disband and completely, without at least acknowledging them or being like, I'm so sorry I didn't get a chance to chat with you, I have to leave. you probably would do something. Even if you had to go, you wouldn't just like blindly walk away and then not give any kind of, now, not that you have to, you in networking events, you don't have to always be cordial to every person. These are very professional events. So sometimes you might be going from group to group. It's very quick. There's an agenda with a lot of people, not a lot. Some people come in with a particular agenda of what they want to do, who they want to meet. And if you're not on their list, they may not be of interest to them. And that's okay. That's okay. But if you think about how you're the kind of person who probably wouldn't completely blatantly ignore another human being that tried to make that effort, chances are you weren't going to get along that well with those people who just walked away anyways. They're not your people. Like, the first thing I want you to do is to let go of the idea that you've lost something, because that's kind of the feeling. Like, I've lost the game a little bit. I feel like I've lost this opportunity. I look stupid. Let's just admit it. These are the thoughts that kind of go through your brain. It's like, you look around, you're like, did people just see me walk up to these group of people and then everybody leave? Did they see how bad that was? And then you get all hypercritical again. But there are these, admit it. It sucks. Don't try to just completely gloss over your feelings in the moment. Kind of go, okay, that was kind of crappy. And then take a big breath in and out, and then look around the room for who's the next group, who's the next person you're going to go talk to. I like to find like smaller groups or medium-sized groups, nothing too large. By smaller, medium, I'd say, maybe on the small side, it's like 1 to 3 people. On the medium side, it's like 4 or 5. I tend not to approach groups that are larger than that, just because they're often groups that either already know each other and they're almost like in this very deep conversation about stuff that they all commonly know, and they're a little bit more involved, and they're not looking to socialize and to network. They're mostly looking to fix something, work on something, and they're like group problem solving or thinking, or maybe they're just socializing, but they're very focused on their group and they aren't really networking. They're really socializing within their own group. It's not to say it's always the case, but that's just what I tend to see with the larger groups of people. So when we're looking at the small to mid-sized groups of people, it's okay if you approach people and they're not interested in talking to you. Some people may be very outright, they just will tell you. Some people will walk away, not say anything. But when that happens, all you have to do is breathe and look for another group of people. When you consider that you haven't actually lost anything because you didn't get to talk to them, because honestly, you're amazing. And if someone doesn't want to talk to you, do you really think they're that great anyway? They're not that cool. They're not that valuable of a person. Okay, everyone's valuable, but like, you know what I mean? You don't need that person in your close network. They're not for you. And it's not a bad thing. It's not like you're not good enough. It's a resonance. It's an energetic resonance. That there are times when you go to an event or you go to a class or somewhere, and you can run into people who vibe with you. They get you pretty quickly, your sense of humor. You might casually be in a grocery store or at a store and in line, and when there's that person who gets you, because you smile, you see each other, you might have a casual conversation. There's a comfort level. Networking isn't inherently uncomfortable as an act, but it's a very good practice for you to be in tune with how you're feeling and who you resonate with. Because if you're being very sensitive to who you resonate with, you can energetically feel in your body and in your mind, who is a good group of people for me to go up to? You can feel it. I can feel it too. I still sometimes ignore that feeling and I'll go up to a group of people that are not going to be my people anyways. And then I remember, oh yeah, those aren't my people. And that's okay. But you actually can tap into feeling, these people are aligned, or these people are open. Like, these people are energetically open to experiencing what I have to say or who I am, and sharing about who they are. And they might look approachable or more friendly. Don't discount the people that look scared. Don't discount the people that are in the corner. Sometimes they're more introverted. Not saying all introverts are in a corner. Introverts can be anywhere, but they may not be as comfortable yet, or they might just get overwhelmed by large groups of people. So just approaching someone independently, kind of going off to that one person that's a little bit alone, that's not such a bad thing either. But the bigger thing I want you to focus on is how to handle your ego when people walk away from you or if they disband. Now, first of all, it's so important just to know that's a thing, because I'm not going to lie. So last weekend, I went to a networking event. It was actually really fun. And it was one of those nights where I kind of didn't listen to my intuition entirely and my instinctual knowing that I was going up to a group of people who weren't really my people. And I kind of hung around and I listened and looked for my opening to share, like, and ask, who are you guys? What are you up to? What brings you here? And then share about myself. And before that ever happened, I could barely hear what they were saying. So it wasn't like they were trying to include me in the conversation, but I was committed because I got to the group and I was like, well, I'm going to try to listen in and see if I can pick up on something interesting to share about or to like interject with or something. I couldn't really hear anything that they were saying anyways, but I just kind of smiled and tried to be polite and they walked away. Like after they said what they wanted to with each other, they all went their own way. And then I was just sitting there and I was like, damn, I forgot that happens. And it took me like a moment to recover because I was like, okay, well, that happened. Who else is around here? And I just looked around for another little group of people, quickly found a group and quickly just introduced myself to them and picked myself back up. You have to pick yourself back up when this stuff happens. You can't let yourself be so hurt by it that you just don't even want to go to networking events or you want to leave immediately. You're allowed to have those feelings, but if you want to be successful at networking, if you want to get good at it and get comfortable with it, you really have to practice and get used to when that happens, because it can happen more often than you might think. It really depends on the groups of people interacting, but it isn't a game-ending event. It doesn't mean you've done anything wrong. It doesn't mean you don't fit in with everybody here. It just means you don't mesh with that group of people. But like I said, do you really want to be involved with that group of people if they don't even want to give you a minute to talk about who you each are and share those pleasantries? Often you won't want to. And if you were to force it, it would likely lead to a very uncomfortable situation down the line. And you probably don't want each other in each other's networks. So what I would say is every time something like that happens, give yourself like 2 or 3 more chances to mingle and mesh with another group. Don't call it just because you have someone walk away. Brush off the ego, help the ego get back up, brush them off, take a few breaths in and out to recover, and then give yourself at least 2 or 3 more group chances of approaching people and approach those 2 or 3 more groups of people before you make any kind of decision that like, oh, you know what, maybe I don't belong here, maybe I shouldn't be doing this. And you will realize, oh, right, it actually is kind of fun. These people do want to talk to me. These people are interesting. I am interested in what they have to say. They're interested in what I have to say and getting to know who I am. And you'll recover from it pretty quickly. Like the first conversation, halfway through the first conversation after someone brushes you off, you won't even remember it happened. Maybe. If you do, it's okay. Just take a few more breaths. And after a couple more conversations, you're going to forget. But no matter what, I know it's hard when these kinds of things happen because we put ourselves out there. And sometimes if you're like really nervous, you're really worried about how you're going to be perceived, and somebody actually just brushes you off and doesn't acknowledge you, it's very hurtful. It can feel very hurtful, but remember that networking isn't supposed to be a super personal thing. Everyone isn't going to be your best friend. They're not there to be your best friend, and you're not there to be their best friend. You're there to share ideas, to kind of move energy around, to get to know new people, new concepts, get exposed to new ways of thinking, new ways of being. And maybe something's inspired from that. Maybe it's a career, maybe it's a job, maybe it's just having a new friend, or maybe it's like a collaborator or someone who's you become a consultant, or they become a consultant for you. I mean, there's so many interesting people you can come across. Like I ran into what you might some people might call the devil. There was someone at this event who makes pop-up ads that you cannot stop. I think he even called himself the devil, but like that was very intriguing to know. And I guess if you're on the product side of things, that's probably your best buddy, but like, to the rest of humanity and society, not so much. But like it was a pitch night, so I got to learn about some cool new entrepreneurs in the area and what they're building and their companies are, and what they're really creating. And it's inspiring to be around this kind of energy of creation and inspiration and these ideas and this like really strong desire for like whatever they're passionate about and creating it and bringing it into this reality as like a real thing. So it's a great energy to be around sometimes. New people you haven't met before. It's not your coworkers or colleagues. It's not, your friends and family. It's brand new people who it forces you a little bit to be on your toes. It helps you practice like being in tune with your intuition, because if you can connect with your intuition in a public place with all of these different distractions and people that you don't know, that is a heck of a connection. And it's something you can't do without practice. It's like a muscle. You have to be practicing over and over again. And these kinds of events are great for that. And use the opportunity of when someone rejects you or ignores you to connect with your intuition a little more strongly and educate and inform it and go, okay, remember that feeling? That feeling was indicating to us that probably wasn't going to be a good match for us, and it wasn't. And now we know when we feel that way, probably not a good match in the future. And you'll start to learn these subtle things that you pick up on, like in your body, in your mind, and as you're perceiving different interactions with people. So the biggest message here is, don't take the 1 or 2 times someone brushes you off as you failed, or you're not good enough, or like this is stupid, this is pointless, like and focus on how crappy it feels. Just let that be one moment in time, and then keep moving. Just keep moving through the crowd of people, and you will forget what just happened. I promise. Over time, you do this over and over again, it won't bother you so much anymore. And you'll start to, one more thing. The reason that we feel so bad when someone rejects us or ignores us, one of the biggest reasons is it validates a deep inner fear of us not being liked, or a part of us that does not accept our full selves. So that's really the deeper wound behind why we might be feeling so crappy if we get kind of brushed off or ignored, or anything like that. It's if you notice that, take it as a really good indication that maybe there's some work that you can do on fully loving and accepting yourself. Maybe there's some work you can do to let go of the opinions and thoughts that you are holding so strongly to that are of other people, of you. Because the biggest thing that you should care about is how you value yourself, not how some random person named Lionel is at a networking event. I don't know if Lionel, I'm sure Lionel's fine. I don't mean anything by that, but like just because Lionel ignored you, that should be very small on the scale of things that you care about. You don't even know Lionel. Like Lionel, just, this is the first time you've seen him. He brushed you off. Who cares? But if you really look at that deeper thing of, wait a second, it really, really bothered me. Do I think that there's something wrong with me? And I'm afraid of looking at that, and I'm actually upset because I think there's something wrong with me, and that's why this bothered me. Usually when something triggers us or upsets us, it's because there's a deeper something there for us to understand about a belief we have about ourselves. So, if you don't fully love and accept yourself, it's going to be way easier for you to get offended or hurt by someone brushing you off or ignoring you. So that's where you go home and do a lot of practice and work on your self-love so that you can start to accept yourself more fully. And then if these kinds of things happen in the future, you'll brush it right off. It'll be no problem. It'll be just like it won't phase you. It hit me for like a split second there at this other event. But then really like 2 seconds later, after I was talking to someone else, I forgot it even happened and I just let it go. But I've done a lot of work on self-acceptance, self-love, and promoting the deep inner digging of like, what do I really think of myself? And what part of me is valuing other people's opinions over my own opinion of myself? Looking for external validation rather than having the validation from within. Having your own inner validation coming from yourself, that is so powerful. So I encourage you to work on fully validating yourself from within. I'll do lots of videos on that too. But just looking at these opportunities to grow and see how you can more fully be authentic and accepting of yourself. That's what these great experiences with networking can teach you. It's not just about networking to get something out of other people. It's actually a really good practice to learn about yourself, which is a really interesting perspective that I've kind of been finding with networking. So I'll share more about all of this stuff in the future. I hope this helps for now. And I'm sending you guys lots of love. Bye-bye.